Now we're going to discuss plotting in MATLAB, and we're just going to discuss 2D plots, how to do 2D plots in MATLAB. MATLAB has many functions for plotting, um, but we are just going to restrict ourselves in this course to 2D plots. And again, if you take any advanced course and you have to plot 3D plots or surface plots, then you can learn how to do that. It's not very difficult once you know how to do the basic plotting. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create one program, one file, and I'm going to show you different ways of plotting 2D plots in this program. So the first thing is, if you are collecting data, let's say in a lab environment, or if you have x and y values and you want to plot y versus x, or let's say in a lab environment, if you have voltage or current, you want to plot current versus voltage, one variable on the y-axis, one variable on the x-axis. So if you have discrete values, 10 values, 12 values, then you can put both values in terms of a vector, a row vector or a column vector, and then you can use you can plot them easily. So the first thing that I'm going to show you is basically plotting using discrete vectors. So let's say you have two variables. You have x is equal to 0, 0.1, 0.5, 1, 4, 9, 12, 13.6. Let's say we have these values. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So x has 9 values. And I'm going to define a y, let's say 100.3, 123.4, 111.6, 93.5, 93.4, let's say 34.6, 145.7, 100.9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and let me grab two more values, let's say 23.5 and 67. So the length of vector x and y are same, of course. And when you want to plot x and y, if they are in discrete two vectors, then all you have to do, the basic command of plotting in MATLAB is simply plot. And as you can see, there are other functions of plotting as well. As you can see, you have option of plot 3, plot matrix, plot yy. Right now we're just going to discuss plot, so let's stick with the plot function and plot x comma y, as simple as that. Oh, we have lowercase x comma y, and that's about it. So let's say if I have to submit this file, I'm gonna save this file as let's say my first name, Masood underscore Ijaz underscore if I'm just gonna call this plot, so size of plotting. And when I run this program, then it's gonna plot, and it's gonna plot x versus y, although x values versus y values. So this is the simplest type of plots. Now most of the time, now of course if you are collecting data, as I said, in a lab setting, you have current and voltage, then you go ahead and you collect the data as a vector and you can plot those two quantities. Most of the time your plotting is coming from different type of equations. So let's look at how you're gonna plot using equation. So I'm gonna just erase this. This is simplest plotting. I'm gonna delete that, and all those things, all these techniques, remember, they're also present in the tutorial. I'm gonna delete this, and I'm gonna do plotting using plotting from equations. equation. Alright, and since we are doing two-dimensional plots, so the equations will have only a single variable that will be changing, that is the x variable changing on the x-axis. So let's assume we want to plot a function f of x 2 times sine of 5 times x, 5 times x plus 3 times cosine of 3x, why I'm using shift, cosine of 3 times x plus sine of 4 times let's say exponent of x. Why I'm doing this, I'm not sure why. Making mistakes. That should be, and this should be, I don't know what I do, maybe 4 times exponent of x. So let's say I have this function, and then let me go ahead and make this a little more, times sine of 2 times x. Let's say 2 times x. Let's say I have this function. Okay. Now the first thing, whenever you're plotting anything, I wrote down the function right now just to show you that this is a function I want to plot. It's not a very easy function to plot. Let's say 2 sine 5x plus 3 cosine 3x plus sine 4 times exponential value of x times sine 2x. But anytime you're plotting anything, make sure the first thing that you do is to define the x values. If you don't have the x values, you cannot evaluate the function, and of course if you cannot evaluate the function, you cannot plot it. So let's define x values. Let's say x goes from 0, and so I'm defining a vector of x. So the first value is the starting point, colon, interval, colon, last point. So let's say if I choose 0.01 as my interval, and if I go up to, let's say 15. So that's the range of x over which I want to plot f of x. Okay. Now since x is a vector, remember, and I'm evaluating this expression, that's why I'm using this period, because I'm multiplying two vectors together. Sine of 4 exponential value of x is going to be a vector, and this x should be a lowercase, and then of course sine 2x will also be a vector. That's why I'm multiplying them using a period, because it's an array wise multiplication. Okay, and then plot x comma f of x. Now in the plot you can also write down what is the x-axis, what is the y-axis. You can write down the title of the plot, and many other things that are defined in, or which are explained in the tutorial. So to give a label of x-axis, just the command is x label, and anything that you want to label, it has to be in quotations, in apostrophe. So let's say x, I don't know, I'm just gonna call it x, right? And then y label, we'll put a label on the y. Why I'm putting a less sign, and then I'm just gonna call it y. And then or no, I'm gonna call it f of x, f of x. And then the title, let me go ahead and put the equation as the title. So 2 sine 5x, 2 sine 5 of x plus 3 cosine 3x, 3 cosine 3x, 3x, and then I have sine 4 exponential value of x plus sine 4 exponential value of x. So e. Now anytime you want to raise anything in the x label, y label, or title, that is in the text, anytime you want to raise anything, you use the power sign and it's going to be raised. And anytime you want to do, so it's going to be a superscript, and anytime you want to do subscript, you put underscore and it's going to appear to be subscript. So if I want to put a superscript, then I'm going to raise it exponent of x, so it's going to do e to the power x. Okay, and sine of 2x, sine of 2x. Okay, and that's my equation. I'm gonna save it, and then let's run it, and let's see, did I get an error? Of course I did. Let's see, what is that? Parse error near line 5. Okay, what is this? Let me see. 2x 2 sin 5x plus 2x. Okay, let's see. I have balanced. This is balanced, this is balanced. So why it is giving me error? Okay, let's run again. Let me see why it is giving me error. fx2 sine 5x plus 3 sine 3x. Oh, did I put a quotation over there? Okay, yeah. Let's go and check. Yep, instead of semicolon I put colon. Sorry. Alright, here you go. Alright. Okay, so this is the graph of this equation from 0 to 15 with the interval of 0.01. Now remember one thing, interval, if it is very large, then you will see sharp edges in the graph. So make sure if anytime you see sharp edges in the graph or flat lines in the graphs, that means your interval is quite large. So try to make it smaller so that you can plot more points and your graph is going to be smoother. Okay, so remember that. So this is if you want to plot a single plot, you don't